Have you ever had a really cool idea and just wondered, how do I get a computer to actually do it? Well, today we're going to break down that exact process, how we can take a thought from our own head and turn it into code that Python can understand. Let's get right into it.
So this is the big question, right? It's the core challenge for anyone starting out. You know what you want to accomplish, but how do you say it in a language like Python? We're going to walk through it, but the first step, well, it's probably not what you think. It actually has nothing to do with the computer at all.
Yeah, you heard me right. The very first step is writing for people. Before we even think about giving the computer instructions, we need a way to leave little notes for ourselves and for anyone else who might look at our code down the road. And that's where something called comments come in. Think of them like digital sticky notes you can leave all over your code. Anytime a line starts with that hash symbol, Python just pretends it isn't there. It's completely invisible to the computer. It's just for us humans, to explain the why behind what our code is doing.
I mean, just look at the difference here. On the left, you've got this line of code. What does it do? Who knows? It's a total mystery, just a bunch of letters and symbols. But now look at the right. Add one simple comment, and boom, the purpose is crystal clear. We're calculating a final price with tax and taking off a discount. See? That's the power of writing for humans first.
Okay, so we've left our notes for the humans. Now, it's finally time to talk to the computer. And for Python to do anything useful, it has to understand what kind of materials it's working with. In programming, we call those materials data.
And this is absolutely crucial. You wouldn't use a hammer on a screw, right? You need the right tool for the job. Well, it's the exact same idea with Python. It has to know if it's dealing with text or a number because it treats them in completely different ways. These categories of information are what we call data types. So the first one we're going to look at, and it's probably the most common one you'll see, is the string. The rule here is super simple. If you see some text wrapped up in quotation marks, it's a string. This is how Python handles any kind of text you can imagine, from a single letter to an entire book. Just like this example right here. Those quotation marks are like a container. They tell Python, hey, everything inside here is just plain old text. Don't try to do math with it. Don't try to run it as a command. Just treat it as text. All right, next up, we have integers. If strings are for words, you can think of integers as being for counting. They're just clean, whole numbers. No fractions, no decimals. They're perfect for keeping track of things like how many items are in a shopping cart or how many users are signed up. Take the number 42. Now notice what's missing. There are no quotes around it. And that is the key signal to Python that this isn't the text 42, but the actual numerical value of 42. Something it can use for math. So, let's do a quick recap here. A string, or str for short, is for any text inside quotes. An integer, or int, is for whole numbers. These two are really some of the most essential building blocks in all of programming. All right, so we've got our notes for humans, the comments, we've got our materials for the computer, our data types. Now for the final piece of the puzzle. In what order does Python actually do all the things we tell it to? This might be the single most important rule to remember. It's not magic. Python reads your code exactly like you read a book. It starts at line 1, does what it says, then it moves to line 2, and so on, all the way to the end. It's that simple. So let's actually trace this simple little program. As you can see, it uses everything we've just talked about. There are comments, there's a string, and there are a couple of commands. So how does Python actually process this? Let's walk through it step by step. First, Python sees that comment on line 1 and just skips right over it. Then, on line 2, it takes the string Alex and stores it in a little memory box called name. Next, it gets to the comment on line 3 and, you guessed it, ignores that one too. Finally, on line 4, it gets to the print command. It looks inside that name box, finds the string Alex, and then displays Hello Alex on the screen. Simple, sequential, top to bottom. And you know what? That's really the core of it. I'm not kidding. With just those three ideas, comments for people, data types for the computer, and that simple top-to-bottom execution order, you now understand the fundamental rules of how pretty much any Python program works. So let's just nail down those key takeaways one more time. First, comments are your notes for humans. Python pays them no mind. Second, data has different types like strings and integers, so Python knows what it's working with. And third, Python always runs your code in a straight line from top to bottom. What you've just done isn't just learning a few random facts. You've actually learned the fundamental grammar of a whole new language. This is the foundation that every single complex program, every cool app is built on.
So the only question left is, what are you going to build with this knowledge? Now that you know the basics of how to communicate your ideas to a computer, what's the very first instruction you're going to give it? Thanks so much for joining me.